What up? What up? What up, guys? It's it's been a few days. Well, about 12 days since my last post, and it took some time because I needed to think over and figure out what book I wanted to read next, and have it and place it on this YouTube here. So, not that I haven't been reading on my own because I have, but I needed to see what I was going to read next, and there were two that I wanted to think of reading. I was either going to go backwards and read Leviticus because Leviticus is so important. Once again, to understand the law, I feel like I have a need to go to Leviticus and talk further on Deuteronomy. I just started in a randomly straight to Deuteronomy because it was as what the Holy Spirit inside me reached out for me for. And now I see Leviticus is up next, and I definitely want to read Leviticus. But at the same time, I want to read the book of Job, just to kind of see the difference. His heart nature, because it explains about his life and his heart nature, right? And to kind of understand the heart nature in detail, to at least with his life, the very things that he would do and be very meticulous about through through the sins of his family and himself, because he loved God so much. It's very interesting. So I'm going to read Job first, and then I'll read Leviticus. And the book of Job, I'll make sure when I do these videos from now on, I'm going to leave them with chapters instead of saying video 1, 2, 3, and 4. If I read 3 chapters, and I'll make sure I have it posted as chapter 1 to 3, or chapter 1 to 5, and then chapter 5 to 7, or 5 to 9. So it should be more organized for everyone who'd like to just pick a video to watch depending on chapters. But at the same time, I don't fully embrace just reading a chapter. It's good. It's good to listen and read on those chapters. Maybe if you're studying on your own and just want to have some insights on things, more insight by fellowshipping, right, with other ones who love God. But I definitely advise to read the whole book. And if there are things you don't understand in the book, it's because you need to read more. And I tell you what, understanding all the stuff in the New Testament and certain things in the Old Testament, you begin to understand them more as you read from the source. You read from the beginning, read from Genesis. And as I'm continuing to read, I see where all the dots connect. And what's very interesting is, I was saying this to my friend, my buddy earlier, is that, like, I use the KJV 1611 Bible because even though to some, a lot of people may say it's hard to understand, it just means you need to take more patience. You need to do a little bit more research. You get to chew on the knowledge that's given unto you, and take your time to really absorb what's truly meant to be. And compared to all of the other Bibles, like the NLT or the ESV and all of these other versions, I think they're all good for knowing a verse. If you have trouble understanding a verse, it's someone taking that and trying to modernize the translation so you can have an understanding of that verse. But the one problem that I feel about that is, when you change that verse to modernize it, you're not modernizing, you're not you're not synchronizing every single thing. I've noticed from reading other versions that the whole book is not synchronized together. So like you can read the Old Testament and it may say one thing, and you can read the New Testament, it may say it differently, which would you would miss the understanding of how the something that's said in the New Testament is from the Old Testament, when a lot of the references that the prophets have received in the New Testament, they received by reading Old Testament knowledge. You know, like Isaiah, like the books of Moses. Like, and you don't really see that unless you have a book that is synchronized, where every word is synchronized together to match up throughout the books. And you know, so I mean, again, I don't, you know, I think they're all good, but I have I feel in my heart more trust in the KJV 1611. Whether I decide to read the italicized or not, the fact that they're even italicized is a good thing. So they're showing you what has been added for understanding. Like they would, if it was smart, if it would make more sense for them to italicize, modernize Bibles, and there would be a lot more italicized words in those modernized Bibles, because they are literally changing the word into something that you can be able to understand. And the thing is about also when you're reading the newer books, you can read a verse. It's like, oh, okay, I understand what he's saying, but you're only understanding the surface. You've absorbed the surface, and you don't even have the time to chew. You just saw it said something plainly, and you just swallowed it. You just swallowed. You just swallow. You didn't even have time to chew. You just swallowed the food. You had the time to meditate on it, to dwell on that knowledge that was given, so you can have a greater understanding on how to present yourself in the world of God, you know, in God's kingdom. So, you know, I think it's very important to be able to chew and take your time and meditate. Let it fill your body. And pray that the Lord gives you the knowledge in your heart for that understanding. So that's my little rant for the first 8 minutes and 25 seconds. And I'm going to read the book of Job. Start off. Let's see how many chapters I'll get off in the next 22 minutes. And then go from there. I guess I'll start off with the title for those who may not know too much of Job. The events of the book of Job are perhaps among the earliest of the Bible, likely set in a period of patriarchs: Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph. Job tells the story of a man who lost everything: his wealth, his family, his health, and wrestled to understand why. What had he done to deserve such affliction and suffering? Believing that he had done no wrong, the only reasonable conclusion Job could reach was that God had made a mistake. God had chastised him without cause. If only Job had a way to clear up the confusion, but he could think of none. The book begins with a pair of debates between God and Satan, moves through 3 cycles of debates between Job and his friends, and concludes with dramatic confrontation between God and his struggling servants. In the end, Job acknowledged the sovereignty of God and recognized his error in assuming he knew more about his situation than God. Job was restored as God's servant and received more than he had lost. Okay. Reading those summaries are entertaining, I would say. And I would not use the summary, though, to truly understand the depthness of what could be obtained from the book. So, as I continue, here I go. Chapter 1. There was a man in the land of Uz, whose name Job, and the man was perfect and upright, and one that feared God and eschewed evil. And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. He had some kids, huh? His substance also was 7,000 sheep, and 3,000 camels, and 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 she-asses, and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all the men of the east. So he was a man of the east, and he had a giant farm. And his sons went and feasted, and in theirs, italicized, feasted houses, every one his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and to drink with them. Excuse me. And it was so, when the days of feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning, and offered burnt offerings to the number of them all. For Job said, It may be that my sons have sinned, and cursed God in their hearts. Thus did Job continually. So that's already interesting to begin with. The fact that you can tell that Job, he loves God. But he offered burnt offerings to God for the number of them, in case they have sinned. Because it said, it may be that my sons have sinned. So maybe it sounds like right off the bat to me, just thinking that in that instance, that maybe his children are not being raised as they should be, or not being taught to the traditions of God, but instead are being taught the traditions of Sodom and Gomorrah, the traditions of the world. It's very interesting, all right there off the bat. That's what I see. But his heart was filled with love and mercy, and he wanted to plead with God to keep the sins off of his children. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord. And Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, Does Job fear God for naught? Hast not thou made a hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth thine hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, all that he hath is in thy power. Only upon himself put not forth thine hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. So that was more definitely spiritual talk. The Satan talking to God. But why is this even a question when it comes to Job? Think deeper on that. Has not thou made a hedge about him and about his house and about all that he hath on every side? So is there something that he's doing? Maybe boasting, showing himself blameless in a way, or his posture. It's interesting, just thinking out loud. Raw commentary. And there was a day when his sons and his daughters eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And there came a messenger unto Job and said, the oxen were plowing, and the asses feeding beside them, and the Sabeans fell and took them away. They have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he yet speaking, there came also another, and said, the fire of God is fallen from heaven, and hath burned up the sheep, and the servants, and consumed them, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he yet speaking, there came also another, and said, the Chaldeans made out 3 bands, and fell upon the camels, and have carried them away. Ye and slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he yet speaking, there came also another, and said, thy sons and thy daughters eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness, and smote the 4 corners of the house. And it fell upon the young men, and they are dead. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. Sounds like you had a family that was too much in their wine and was not aware of the calamity that was about to come upon them. Very sad. That's what I see. That's what I'm seeing right now. Then Job arose and rent his mantle, and shaved his head, and fell down upon the ground and worshipped. See, now that is even more interesting. Oh my goodness, it's like little Easter eggs, and I'm only seeing that as a perspective towards people's understanding today. But then Job arose and rent his mantle and shaved his head. And one of the things about shaving your head was not a good thing in that time. In that time, if people followed the law incorrectly, shaving your head was not something that you were supposed to do. Your hair protects you from danger, right? From different environments. So the fact that they wanted to they actually stated in here that Job arose and rent his mantle and shaved his head is very interesting. And fell down upon the ground and worshipped, and said, Naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return there. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. It sounds like the mark was missed. It really does. In all this Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. Which is good. Again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them to present himself before the Lord. And the Lord said unto Satan, From whence comest thou? And Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil? And still he holdeth fast his integrity, although thou movest me against him, to destroy him without cause. And Satan answered the Lord and said, Skin for skin. Yes, all that a man hath will he give for his life. But put forth thine hand now, and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, he in thine hand, but save his life. So went Satan forth from the presence of the Lord, and smote Job with sore boils, from the sole of his foot unto his crown. And he took him a potsherd to scrape himself withal, and he sat down among the ashes. Sat down among the ashes. What does that even mean? See, this is where you read and you understand, like, when you hear about smoke is dealing with prayers. When you hear about ashes, I'm still working on that because I see that in a lot, but every time I see it, when I read it, and we need to confirm it. But when I see ashes, I see pain and sorrow. Tears, pain, and sorrow is when you hear about ashes. Then said his wife unto him, Dost thou still retain thine integrity? Curse God and die. But he said unto her, Thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. What? Shall we receive good at the hand of God, and shall we not receive evil? In all this did not Job sin with his lips? Thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. So you see again, so he had a wife who did not have complete faith in God. She utterly rejected God because of what happened to them. She utterly rejected God. Thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. What? Shall we receive good at the hand of God, and shall we not receive evil? In all this did not Job sin with his lips. Now, when Job's 3 friends heard of all this evil that was come upon him, They came every one from his own place. Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite, for they had made an appointment together to come to mourn with him and to comfort him. So these three people came because they were sad for him and wanted to be there. So they came with the initial heart nature. And when they lifted up their eyes afar off and knew him not, they lifted up their voice and wept. And they rent every one his mantle, and sprinkled dust upon their heads toward heaven. So they sat down with him upon the ground 7 days and 7 nights, and none spake a word unto him, for they saw that grief was very great. After this opened Job his mouth, and cursed his day. And Job spake and said, Let the day perish wherein I was born, and the night, it was said, There is a man child conceived. Let that day be darkness. Let not God regard it from above, neither let the light shine upon it. Let darkness and the shadow of death stain it. Let a cloud dwell upon it. Let the blackness of the day terrify it. For that night, let darkness seize upon it. Let it not be joined unto the days of the year. Let it not come unto the number of the months. Lo, let that night be solitary. Let no joyful voice come therein. Let them curse it at that curse, the day. Who are ready to raise up their mourning, MOURNING, mourning. Let the stars of the twilight thereof be dark. Let it look for light, but have none. Neither let it see the dawning of the day, because it shut not up the doors of my womb, nor hid sorrow from mine eyes. Why died I not from the womb? Did I give up the ghost when I came out of the belly? Well, I can even there, he said, did I give up the ghost? So even then, there were people in that time who understood about the Holy Ghost. Did I give up the ghost when I came out of the belly? Why did the knees prevent me? Or why the breast that I should suck? For now should I have lain still and been quiet. I should have slept. Then had I been at rest. With kings and counselors of the earth, which built desolate places for themselves. Or with princes that hold gold, who filled their houses with silver. Or as in hidden untimely birth I had not been, as infants never saw light. There the wicked cease from troubling, and there the weary be at rest. The prisoners rest together, they hear not the voice of the oppressor. The small and great are there, and the servant is free from his master. Wherefore is light given to him that is in misery, and life unto the bitter in soul, which long for death, but it cometh not, and dig for it more than for hid treasures, which rejoice exceedingly, and are glad when they can find the grave. See, that why is light given is all italicized. To a man whose way is hid, and whom God hath hedged in? For my sighing cometh before I eat, and my roarings are poured out like the waters. For the thing which I greatly feared is come upon me, and that which I was afraid of is come unto me. I was not in safety, neither had I rest, neither was I quiet, yet trouble came. All right, well, that's the end of chapter 1 to 3. It was 30 minutes, and I will start another video for the next 30 minutes of chapters. But this was good. And you know what? I didn't even think about this now because I was talking earlier, and I didn't even make my prayer. And just because I didn't make my prayer doesn't mean I shouldn't make it at all. So I'm going to do it for the end of this study for myself and for everyone who may listen to me. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Holy be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done as it is in heaven, so will it be on earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the glory, the power, forever and ever. In Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ. Amen. Lord, I pray to everyone who's concerned about these times. I want the people who understand you and hearken unto you and seek you in the Spirit. Let them know that they will be safe, that you are protecting them because you protect those who are part of your kingdom. You protect those who truly hearken unto you. I ask for knowledge to be received unto me and to everyone who is reading and looking for you, Lord. For we all have different purposes, right? For you. And I pray that the wisdom is received unto us from the knowledge given to us. For there are people out there who obtains knowledge but have not obtained wisdom. And to obtain wisdom is to be able to apply and be that very nature. So I pray that everyone who truly hearkens unto you, Lord, that they meditate and learn and grow more with you. Amen. All right. Well, that's it for today. 33 minutes, 21 seconds, and off to the next one.